The rain hammered the old farmhouse. Elias sat by dying embers, mug cold. Wind howled through ancient oaks. Alone for 15 years, solace turned dread to night. It began subtly, a faint scratching sound at the back door. He dismissed it as a branch, but it persisted, rhythmic, insistent. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Not random, but purposeful. He tried to ignore it, but the sound burrowed into his skull. Exasperated, he rose, joints protesting. Just a branch, he muttered. A flimsy shield. Kitchen cold. He fumbled for the light. Illumination revealed familiar clutter. He neared the heavy oak back door. The scratching intensified, a dry, grating whisper that raised goosebumps. Ear pressed to cold wood. The sound was unmistakably outside, low, continuous. Pauses, then frantic scraping. A faint vibration. Something was out there. A shiver colder than the air. It wasn't an animal. No creature scratched with such intent. He backed away, eyes fixed on the door's frosted pane. A dark, indistinct shape pressed against the glass, briefly obscuring the kitchen's reflection. Large, amorphous, utterly silent. It receded, then returned. Throat dry, he croaked. "Who's there?" Silence. Only the relentless rain. He grabbed a cast-iron skillet, retreating to the living room. Hours crawled. The scratching, a tormenting rhythm. He tried to rationalize it as a prank, but the persistence, the chilling regularity, the shape. Around midnight, a new sound. Faint, dragging from the side of the house, like something heavy in mud. Elias's blood ran cold. It was moving. He peered from the living room window. A lightning flash. A figure. Tall, impossibly so, gaunt as a skeletal scarecrow, draped in shadows. Limbs stretched unnaturally. Head tilted. Listening. Facing the house. Facing him. He saw no details, only the terrifying silhouette. Then the realization. It wasn't in the mud. It hovered inches above the ground. Darkness returned. He gasped, stumbled. The image burned into his mind. He rushed to the flimsy front door lock, barred it. A meager defense. The scratching at the back door frenzied, tearing sounds. Wood groaned, splintering. It would trying to get in. A low, guttural whisper seeped from all sides, a chorus of voices, overlapping, indistinct, yet terrifyingly close. Distorted echoes of suffering. Let us in. He pressed palms to temples, but the whispers permeated. He squeezed his eyes shut, blocking the darkness, the sounds, the hovering figure. A loud crack from the back of the house. Scratching stopped. Deathly silence, broken only by rain. Elias lowered his hands. His breath hitched. The silence was worse. A predatory anticipation. A soft, wet thump from the kitchen. Another. Then another. Slow, deliberate. Something heavy dragged across the linoleum. It was inside. He opened his eyes, fear a cold knot. A faint, flickering moonlight through the breached back door. A long, distorted shadow stretched from the hallway, reaching like a claw. It solidified. He couldn't move, couldn't scream. Air grew heavy, thick with damp earth, and something metallic, sickly sweet. Stagnant blood. From the hallway, a slithering, wet sound. Then a gurgle. Wet. Choking. The figure emerged. The same impossibly tall, gaunt form. Its skin, decaying leaves over skeletal bones. Limbs unnaturally long. Fingers tipped with jagged black claws dripping viscous liquid. Its head, no face. A gaping maw, a black void. From within, a pulsating, phosphorescent glow, casting unholy light. The gurgling continued. It moved with horrifying fluidity, gliding, legs barely touching ground. An aura of frigid cold. It stopped at the living room entrance, faceless head tilted, studying him. The glowing void pulsed, a cold, invasive presence in his mind. Ancient hunger. He tried to scream, but no sound. Throat constricted. A helpless rabbit. It took a slow, deliberate step, then another. Horrifying ballet. Air colder, decay stronger. Its presence crushed him. Despair. Terror. This was the end. It raised an impossibly long arm, clawed hand stretching. Void pulsed brighter. Searing pain behind his eyes. Thoughts pulled from his skull. He closed his eyes, accepting. Last sound. The wet gurgle. Then, nothing. Only the relentless rain. And the faint, almost imperceptible scratching from somewhere deep within the house. Searching. Always searching. For something. Or someone else. The realtor never mentioned the burial ground when I bought the Carter farmhouse. She didn't tell me about the previous owners either, how the last family had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind a fully set dinner table with rotting food still on the plates. I only learned these things later, after the nightly visits began. It started on my third night in the house. Night 1. The Watcher. 3:07 a.m. The motion-activated floodlights blazed to life, startling me awake. At the tree line stood a man in a long, dark coat. He wasn't moving, wasn't breathing, just standing perfectly still, facing my bedroom window. His posture was wrong, too straight, like his spine had been fused into one rigid column. I called the sheriff's office. Deputy Walsh arrived 40 minutes later, his flashlight beam cutting through the pre-dawn darkness. "Probably just a hunter got turned around," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. When his boot touched the dead circle of grass where the figure had stood, the blades crumbled to black dust with an audible hiss. The security footage chilled me more. The timestamp read 3:07 a.m. when the lights activated, but the figure didn't appear until 3:09. 2 minutes of empty footage, then suddenly, there, like he'd always been standing there. Night 2. The Approach. I stayed awake the next night, shotgun across my lap. 3:07 a.m. The floodlights clicked on. He was closer now, halfway between the trees and the house. His coat hung unnaturally still, despite the howling wind that rattled my windows. Then he raised his arm. One slow, deliberate wave. His elbow bent the wrong way, backwards at the joint, fingers curling like broken twigs. The movement sent a jolt of primal terror through me. The security footage revealed something worse. Between each wave, he slid forward without moving his legs. The earth itself seemed to pull him toward the house. By dawn, he'd halved the remaining distance. Night 3. The Face. I boarded up all the windows with thick plywood. 3:07 a.m. The power went out. Tap, tap, tap. Something knocked on my bedroom window. 3 precise raps that vibrated through the wood. I turned my flashlight toward the sound. His face pressed against the glass, features stretched and blurred like melted wax. No eyes, no mouth. Just smooth, blank skin that rippled as he tilted his head. The tapping continued until sunrise. When I inspected the boards at dawn, they were covered in deep, parallel scratches that smelled faintly of rotting meat. Night 4. The Replacement. The sheriff found no footprints, no signs of forced entry. But the security footage, it showed me asleep in bed at 3:07 a.m. and something wearing my face standing outside the window, waving, smiling with too many teeth, waiting for me to wake up and let it in. The truth about the Carter farm. In the attic, I found a dust-covered journal hidden beneath the floorboards. The entries detailed the same progression I was experiencing. September 12th. It stands at the trees every night now. The dogs won't go near that spot. September 19th. Closer tonight. It waved at me. God, the way its arm bends. September 27th. Boarded up the windows. It's learning to knock. The final entry, dated October 31st, read, "It's in the house now." I can hear it breathing through the walls. The worst part, it sounds exactly like me. The handwriting matched mine stroke for stroke. Tonight. The dead grass circles led right to my front door now. At 3:07 a.m., the knocking will start again. But this time, it won't be coming from outside. It will be coming from inside the walls. And when I check the security feed, I already know what I'll see. Myself, standing in the yard, waving at the house, waiting for the new owner to notice me.